When it comes to keeping fish, I usually say, if it's working, don't mess with it. And sometimes habits that we fall into, because they have worked, can actually sometimes be deadly to our fish. And I'll tell you what I mean. The fish behind me here have been getting fed once a day. And once a week, I'll give them a treat like frozen krill, something like that. But they get a pretty hearty meal once a day. The fish in the aquarium to my left here, the 200-gallon South American and Central American fish, they get fed once a day as well. But there's a big difference between those two fish, and I think it has to do with activity and also metabolism. Both aquariums are kept at around the same temperature, but I think South and Central American fish, it just seems like they're burning up energy a little bit slower than the African cichlids behind me, which never stop moving really. And what I'm getting to is that my once a day feeding for African cichlids has always seemed to work, but was not working. And if I hadn't been paying attention, it could have led to some weak fish, possibly prone to illness fish, and fish not displaying activity and color like they should. So it's okay to stick with habits that are working. It's okay to carry on, but you never, my advice is you never stop looking. You never stop observing. Even though you're continuing to do what you've always done and what always seems to have worked, you also have to mix in a continual observation of the fish. In the case of my African cichlids, what I was observing was that their stomachs were actually starting to not entirely cave in like you would see in the case of parasites or something like that. But I was seeing tummies that were starting to not look as full as I would like to see them. Compared to the South and Central Americans, which, for lack of a better term, are fat. On a once-a-day feeding, comparable to the feeding I give the African cichlids in volume per fish, they actually are looking pretty rounded. What habit I had fallen into, for whatever reason, had stopped working for the African cichlids, and over a long period, like 4 to 6 months, since I started feeding them more on a once-a-day basis, I started really observing, and I started to see them thin a little bit. Stick with what works. If what's working is working, don't change, regardless of what any YouTuber says. But always have your head on a swivel, always be looking and observing and see how the fish are reacting. And then look back and see if you've changed something, or perhaps something that you've always done doesn't quite work anymore and needs to be fine-tuned or modified. So that's my tip. Watch out for habits and routines that might no longer be effective. Don't be so stuck in them that you can't observe and pivot and do something different, like I'm now doing with these guys behind me, or I am now feeding them twice a day until I see them plump up. And then maybe I'll play again a little bit with the once-a-day schedule, but until I see those stomachs get nice and round, I'm not going to be feeding them once a day like I was. You feed them once a day for a variety of reasons, mostly because once they get older, you do expect that metabolism to slow down. Maybe because I have a real powerful wave maker that they're fighting against the current. Maybe they're burning more energy than fish would be at that size or age. And also you feed them once a day because usually in a African cichlid tank, you have a lot of fish, they produce a lot of waste, and you don't want to really be polluting up that tank too quickly because you're putting in a lot of food. There's logic behind the once a day feeding. Some people even skip a day. but I'm going to go back to it twice a day feeding for my African cichlids and keep a close eye on their stomachs, on their tummies, see how they look. All right, so there's a tip. Always have your head on a swivel and watch their tummies. They tell the tale. All right, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to support the channel, consider becoming a Patreon member. A monthly supporter really helps out a lot. And consider subscribing, hitting that bell, hitting the thumbs up, sharing the video, and that also helps the channel quite a bit. Thank you, my friends, and I will see you at the next one. And stay tuned, because we are going to be having our live streams again, possibly an evening. Perhaps in the second week of January, I'll do an evening live stream, and then maybe we'll fall back into the Saturday live streams, the Cichlids and Coffee live streams. So watch for that. I'll make an announcement at the Facebook group and also at the YouTube community page. So watch for those. All right. Thank you, my friends. I'll see you next time. And if you want my best hard-won, I make the mistake so you don't have to, hard-won fish keeping tips, check out this playlist up here. And if you would like to subscribe, hit me in the mug down there. And here's the video that YouTube thinks would be the best for you. There you go. Bye-bye.